Dexy, I know you're gonna kill this shit.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Welcome back to the other side of the coin, and welcome to your latest Chelsea Aftermath episode number 8. Big up to each and every one of you guys that has tuned in. Smash up the like button. Make sure you guys subscribe to all of our channels. Ishan and Arya's channel is on the description. Make sure you do that. And yeah, man. I mean, 3-point lane. We get a nice victory. We seem to get always a victory at Tottenham, and it's happy days, man. There's so many good things to talk about, and we're going to get into all of that. The title, as you can see, 0.05 xG, which I found was extremely mad for a home team to be, reduced to those levels. It's quite incredible. But we're going to get into all of that. First of all, Ishan, how you doing, my brother?
Hey man, I'm doing good. It's good to be back on an aftermath episode after a win. It's so important to get the good vibes back. You know what I mean? In fact, carry on the good vibes because we won the last time around as well. But yeah, happy days, man. I got what I asked for. We definitely gonna dissect this game, go into inch by inch, analyze it well, and big up to the Coin Gang and everybody in the live chat, man.
100%, bro. We're definitely going to analyze everything. And as I said, there's a lot to analyze, a lot to dissect. lots of good things, and it's all about consistency now. Really, that's what it comes down to. I've never been in doubt of what this squad composition is all about, but the consistency is what is the matter. Arya, my man, how you doing?
Good, Miz. Been a long night for you, probably early morning for you.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
so good to see you producing all the content, giving us all that we need, despite all of those early mornings. But I think it was worth it, wasn't it? Yesterday was
Oh,
absolutely worth it. And yeah, happy days are back and potentially look to carry that forward. I mean, put in a run of games where we don't draw, when we don't lose points.
mm.
That's what we stand for. And thankfully, Tottenham are there when we need them most. Uh, at a time when we're struggling to get something, and then they're there to help us. So thanks a lot, Tottenham. Thanks a lot to the Spurs fans. Thanks a lot to the players all through. That's 6 wins in 7 league games for us, and no other Premier League
Mm.
team has been as successful at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And awesome to be on the other side of things.
Come on, man. Come on. Yeah, no, it's been a long day, but it's been a good day. You know, when Chelsea win, I'm pretty sure you guys will all agree. Like the rest of the day doesn't matter what happens. It's a good day. It's a good day. When Chelsea win, you could have the worst day after that, but it always feels like it's been a good day. For me, I think I woke up around 2:30 a.m. and then started streaming around 3:30 a.m. And then obviously the match. By the time the match finished, then I watched the Liverpool game, and then obviously now it's 8:05 p.m. Sydney time. So it's been a very, very long day indeed, but it's been a good day. All right, let's get cracking into this. Ishan, we've got a lot to talk about. Aria, we've got a lot to talk about. The first thing I want to talk about, obviously, XG and all of that, and player performances, Caicedo, what a boss, and many other players that we want to touch base on. But the first thing that I want to talk about, Ishan, I don't know if you noticed, and same with Aria, I was concerned about the long throw-ins. I was concerned about the corners. I don't know if you guys noticed, there was a tactical tweak. Straight away, I saw three players just bomb forward. I'm like, what's going on here? Malagusto's bombing forward, Garnacho's bombing forward, and I think someone, Pedro Neto. I'm pretty sure it was Pedro Neto. So three of the shorter guys were bombing forward and they just stayed up front, which meant Spurs couldn't send everyone forward or just have one in the back and really condense that box, really make it compact and full of people and create a whole heap of congestion over there. Because three Chelsea players bombed forward, they needed to have three players there, which then meant the box area was a little less people, and it allowed for Sanchez to come in and collect, and it allowed for other defenders to not get too overcrowded. Ishan, did you notice that on screen, and did you think, hey, what's going on here? And then did you finally clock that, okay, we're trying to do this to counter these long throw-ins and these corners, basically?
Yeah, man. Look, I think so. I was really scared about the long throws, and I was not surprised at Spurs taking those long throws, because this is what our opponents have been doing. From the past, I don't know what, since that Brentford game, since that 2-2 Brentford game, I think so.
Yeah.
Our defense was exposed for those long throws, and every opponent that we face, and it's just not us against. I think so. Even the Premier League. Insta handle, the admin also acknowledges that he came up with a post saying that teams are using a lot of long throws nowadays, and they also mentioned the father of Liam Delap, who initiated that strategy of long throws into the box, and how lethal it became. Somewhere down the line it subsided, but then now it's back again and back again with a bang, and it seems like the teams who've got success against us are now taking forward to do it against the other teams, and I think so they've found success as well. Tottenham have tried to do the same thing as well. What was his name? Danso was his
Danzo.
name. What
Yeah,
is
it
his
was
name?
Danzo.
Yeah.
Danso.
Bro, his arm is strong enough to throw the ball, but he doesn't have anything up here, so as in where to throw. You know what I mean? So it was difficult for him, and I think so. Chelsea somewhere down the line knew the fact that their long throws uh, can be dangerous, but are not very accurate enough. So I think so. There was a chain of what two, three long throws that I saw initially that we were very cautious. And it's ideally very difficult to defend against a long throws. It's very tricky. It's very cunning the way the ball comes in, floating very slow in the air. You know what I mean? And even if it bounces, it becomes very difficult for the defenders to anticipate. For attackers, it's very easy just to mark the ball and check whether there is any shooting opportunity or not. But for defenders, it's two, three things at a time. So it becomes very difficult for defenders, right? And initially, I thought we were very cautious for the 2, 3 long throws that I've seen. But after that, I think so. Just the Chelsea defenders were cunning enough to understand the fact that these long throws are not very accurate enough for any headache that will be caused to Chelsea. And you know what, we can go and launch out a counter attack on this, and that's why Miss, you had seen in the second half. There were 2, 3, 4 guys who just bombed forward, like Nana. They said Nana. We were bombing forward. You know what I mean? And they just bombed forward. And by the way, one of the chances, I think so, it was very close. Reece James fluked it, with his header. And it was a bit scratchy there. But at the end of the day, I think so. One important factor that you can take away from this game and this long throw saga is it's not the last one. Every team is probably going to use it against you, and you'll have to learn it. It's edgy, it's difficult, but I think so. There was a time when it just faded away because there was a reason. I think so the defenders knew very well how to structure themselves against it, and that thing just faded away. It's now back. So probably there will be a phase where people and the teams and the defenders will be struggling against it, but we'll have to keep our legs strong, head strong, and then pave a way out of it, and then maybe not succumb to the pressure of it, even in the upcoming games for the rest of the season. So big up to the defenders for not getting or conceding any goals by virtue of long throws.
100%, man. I mean, Aria, I felt we dealt with these long throws very, very well. But I agree with Ishan. I think Danzo's accuracy was pretty poor. He wasn't very lethal with it. There are certain teams in the Premier League, they know exactly how much pace there needs to be, the accuracy, and it almost feels like a corner. Every throw in is like as good as a free kick or a corner. But I like how Enzo Maresca, he's not just letting this just flow. He's thought about it. And he's tried to do something different about it to counter this. Having those 3 players bomb forward automatically sends a message to the opposition that if you screw up your long throw and it somehow falls to us, the second ball, we got 3 up there and we can counter straight away. So you need to think what you're doing here. If you mess up, we'll catch you out. And the other factor is, as I said, it allows the area not to be too crowded. Because if those 3 players don't bomb forward, then they stay into the box, allows for the Spurs, maybe 2 players to come and join as well. And maybe what Spurs has 1 at the back because there's no one really as an outlet for Chelsea, which means everyone is all congested in that area, which makes it difficult for Sanchez to come out and collect, which makes it difficult for players. Who's marking who? What's going on? There's so many bodies. Did you like how at least Enzo Maresca, he tried something different to counter this? I don't know whether it's going to work down the track against other teams, but at least he's thinking and trying something to counter this.
100%. I think someone mentioned in the chat as well in life, no limits, and I think Maresca didn't put a limit there in terms of his thinking, in terms of having a plan, right? Because we've seen in the past, we've seen against Sunderland, we didn't have a plan, and when asked about it after the match as well, Maresca didn't probably have an answer to that. He was probably trying to make the same statement in 3 different ways, but did not probably have a plan. When we faced Sunderland, we looked shaky. whenever balls were delivered into the box, we didn't win duels. Yesterday, the key thing for us was winning duels. It was a London derby, and it was a straight up old school London derby where you had tackles fly in, you had long throws coming in, you had teams just scrapping it out at times. You just had to capitalize on moments, and I think we did that. Maybe not as well as we might have hoped to, when it comes from an attacking perspective, because it could have been 4 or 5. But yes, Miss, like you just beautifully mentioned, that we had a plan. We had 3 runners who offered us that option, that whenever Spurs mess it up and we end up winning that duel, there are 3 players there in transition to cause them a problem.
Mm.
And that's a good sign to see, that what if we are able to see
And just
this.
and
Yeah,
just quickly, Arya, there were a
yeah,
couple of times where Sanchez collected and he released the
mm,
ball, which
release.
then created the counter attack. So we utilized those players up front really nicely.
And we utilize his strength, because that's one of the reasons why he was even brought into Chelsea Football Club, not as a traditional goalkeeper who can keep the ball out of the back of the net, but because he can start those attacks for us. He built that reputation, being in Brighton. He's a Spaniard, so Spaniards are generally good with ball on their feet, traditionally great that way. And I think there's a lot that is yet to be seen from Sanchez in that aspect, whether he continues and builds onto that IQ, so to say, of starting out attacks from the back. There are 3 or 4 runners. Whenever he collected the ball, there were 3 or 4 blue shots running into midfield, into wider areas to pick up.
Mm.
All our runners really kind of gave him that option. I think there's more to come. There is definitely more to come. I think this performance yesterday will do him a world of confidence, and I think the way he was able to just collect balls high up in the air gives everyone a lift, right? Give defenders that peace of mind, that what, I can sleep in peace now. There's Sanchez at the back who can bail me out in certain of these scenarios that we were struggling against. And yeah, very good to see. Very, very encouraging yesterday.
100%, man. No, it's a good segue, man. Let's talk about some of these players, Ishan. Lots of good performances, lots of things.
But Miss, I got a point before you move ahead. Yeah, I just wanted to
Go on,
say,
man.
and also quoting on how Aryaman very well explained this, right? This is something, and then the attackers we just bombed up, right? And we were speaking of how this worked against Spurs. Now, if we come out and say that this is going to work every time, the answer is no, right? Because
Yeah.
the reason is, I think so. Initially, for the first 2, 3, 4 long throws, Chelsea defenders were very well aware and very disciplined enough to see those situations out, and they read the game well, that their long throws are not accurate enough and not lethal enough, so that the next time you can go out and probably launch a counter and probably create more chances out of that entire situation, right? And then catch them off guard. But if something like this happens against someone like an Arsenal or maybe a Brentford, you might get caught off guard, and this might backfire on you, right? So maybe I would like to conclude this by saying the entire situation of this long throw was very well analyzed by the Chelsea defenders, and maybe they tried to create a different opportunity, or try to create a different circumstance later on, so that it catches Tottenham Hotspurs off guard. But it definitely depends on how, in future matches, how the long throws come up against us, so that we try to think and probably create something on the spot. This was, I thought, was on the spot, and probably it was definitely a Maresca's idea as well, but then it was very well analyzed by whoever's analyzing. So yeah, big up to the team.
I agree. Look, it might have worked against Spurs. Is it going to work against every other team? We don't know. I think the key factor here is, one, you need to have a plan. I think you need to have a plan moving into the game. I don't think you can just come up with a plan on the spot. I feel like you need to have a set idea. How do we counter oppositions that want to deploy these type of tactics? And two, I think you need defenders and everyone who's involved in that defending phase to be so switched on. You cannot be sleeping at that time. Any player sleeps during that phase where there's a long throw in, where there's a corner, where there's a free kick, it's finished. It's absolutely finito. So every set piece, every player needs to be aware that is one time I don't think anyone can take a nap. I know some of our players every now and then like to take a quick snooze in between plays, but that is where you just cannot. You just cannot take any snooze at all. Now, Ishan, I want to talk to you about, let's start things with Robert Sanchez. We'll go from the back to front. Lots of good performance to talk about. We're going to talk about the match as well, the missed chances, and obviously limiting Spurs. But Robert Sanchez, Ishan, I have to say that was one of the best, like one of his better performances. Obviously, his performance in the Club World Cup final against PSG was incredible as well. But this one, he stopped everything that came to him. Not much that came to him, to be honest. So whatever was coming to him, he did his job, but he collected the crosses nicely. He collected all of these long throws. He commanded the box. Every time when he needed to do what he needed to do, he did that. Like he did not shy away from it. Like Jurgensen, we've seen, he's a bit shy. I don't want to get the ball. You defenders, you jump and get the ball. He leaped up and got the ball. But also, Ishan, his distribution, man. There were a couple of times his distribution created opportunities for us, on a direct route, on a direct channel. I found his performance really, really good, man. I really thought his distribution was at an elite level. Honestly, I thought his distribution was at an elite level. And I have to say, we can't sit here and moan about, but we don't have a good goalkeeper. I'm not saying Sanchez is yet out of the woods, but I think it's been good 6 months. He's been producing good performances. And it seems like we have to admit he has improved since last season. So how do you feel about Sanchez right now, Ishan?
No, man, look, Miz, we'll have to give credit where it's due. You know how critical I have been with this guy and the entire goalkeeper situations for past, 2 years now. But yeah, look, I mean, he's improved, man. He's improved. I'll have to bow down and say that last night's performance was one of the best that I've seen under Robert Sanchez. And just like you said, it's just not about his shot stopping ability, but his distribution is very important. Now I see and know the importance of those long balls or those flat punt kicks that Sanchez has, which comes out to be so important for the game. Because we have those runners up top, guys like Pedro Neto, Joao Pedro, and of course Garnacho or maybe Kittens, whatever the situation is. They like to bomb forward and then try to cross the last line of defense, and maybe that becomes one of the and man, the distribution against Spurs has been one of the best I've seen. It gave me the vibes of Ederson, man. It gave me the vibes of it. It was really reminiscent of the way Manuel Neuer used to do. I know the levels are like very vast, but then it really reminded me of how things are done in terms of long balls from the keeper. Really astonishing. Look, the problem with Robert Sanchez was that he was not clear in his mind when it comes to over the head balls or long balls or corners. Last match against Spurs, he was like crystal clear with what he needs to do. If he's aiming the ball, if the ball is out in the air,
no nothing, zero hesitation,
bro, zero hesitation. He has a clear mindset as to if he needs to grab the ball or not. And once the decision has been made in his mind, he executed it perfectly. Perfectly. And there was, and I think so. He's always put us in trouble whenever he's in two minds. He can't decide whether should I go for the ball or shouldn't I not go for the ball, or what's going to happen. Should I stay back the ball? Should I probably go and punch? I don't know what kind of decision he used to make earlier on, but you take this game of Spurs as an example, or like as a pedestal or a bar, right? That this is the way you should be realizing on your, and believing on your instincts that this is how you put the best A game of yours. As as goalkeeper pairing, they used to say that was one of his best displays, man. Robert Sanchez, we'll have to take the bow, man, for the game against Spurs. But the question mark here is consistency. Consistency is the key, and we've perished a lot in terms of keeping the entire goalkeeping situation, right? Since we signed Kepa Arrizabalaga, we know that we didn't have a constant fixed like final keeper. Just that 1 year of Edward Mendy
Yeah.
of that 2021 era, right? Even after that, he got washed. I don't know how, but we were never like a consistent, and or we never got a safe house from the goalkeeping position. That it's like always mind free, that you don't have to think about the position, because goalkeeping position is always so important that you
Yeah.
should not be thinking about that position at all. But we've been forced to think of that for quite some time now, and performances like this will make us more happy and be more content and more confident in this guy. A couple of mistakes probably in 2 months, 3 months is understandable. We are all humans. We all make mistakes. But those mistakes for him earlier on in the last 2, 3 seasons that we had with him, it was like consistent, right? It was consistent, like one game or the other, or once in twice.
On a regular,
Yeah,
every second
regular
game he was making mistakes.
or maybe in every game you would see 2 or 3 mistakes like
Yeah.
that, and that would just
Yeah.
horrify us. But yeah, I mean, like I told, give credit where it's due, and this game was like one of your bars, and you'll have to either match this or cross this every single time to really keep up that consistency. I really hope he does that for us, because miss that we are not going after keepers anytime soon. So we
Yeah.
don't have any other choice either. So it's him, and with his performances like this, I think that the team will be more stable. If it wasn't for Sanchez yesterday, I think so it would have been more difficult for us. And the way he regulated the game, it was really fun to see.
100%, man. You're spot on. If he didn't do the stuff he did during those long throw-ins and the corners and the free kicks, I think there would have been a little bit of struggle. Arya, I want to now talk about some of the defenders. Wesley Fofana stood out for me so much, man. Um, I was a bit caught up as to who I want to give my man of the match. Caicedo played so well as well. We're going to get to Caicedo. Obviously, Robert Sanchez was one of my favorites as well in the match. Cucurella dropped a really good performance, but one individual, Wesley Fofana, he is starting to now show me, yeah, okay, when you are on, if you can stay fit, that's his biggest problem, fitness. If you can stay fit, I'm gonna put it out there. I think this defender, over the last couple of games, he's shown me, if he can stay fit and if he can keep his consistency, he can be one of the best defenders in the Premier League. It wasn't that long ago when he was in Leicester before he joined us, and he had that one really good season in Leicester, and then the following season he broke his leg. I think a
Yes.
lot of people were saying that this guy, I think he was the same pair with Saliba in Saint Etienne. And a lot of people were not talking about Saliba at that time. They were talking about Wesley Fofana being the top defender. I feel like this guy can be a serious level of top defender, but fitness and consistency is the key factor. But for me, the performance against Spurs was incredible. I don't think he lost any aerial duel. His recovery pace was fantastic. He was cleaning everything up. He was aggressive. He carried the ball well. I thought it was sensational.
He is a 360 player, Miz, and the potential that you just spoke about, uh, he was highly touted while he was with Leicester City, and that was a breakout season for them and for a lot many young players I remember. But Wesley Fofana was spoken of very very highly, and perhaps the reason that when at that time we probably spent what north of 70 million, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it wasn't a fee that was generally spent on defenders, on centre backs. Probably Harry Maguire had that price tag, but Virgil was a standout, but you never really heard of money being spent like that on centre backs. And even to this day, how many centre backs can you count on your fingers who've probably commanded a fee greater than 70 million? Not many. And
Not many. Not many.
many. And if that's the case, that speaks about him. And yesterday, I think coming back from injury, of course, he's not had those fluent run of games where he's been coming in, winning games for us, solving those issues for us that have been persistent all through, especially in the last 7 to 10 games. We've looked very, very fragile defensively. But we can all see what this squad has, and precisely one of the reasons. that I probably put Chelsea's defense up there amongst the top 4 or 5 good sides in the Premier League. I know I might invite a lot of trouble for this, but in terms of potential, it's there. I can see the options now. Whenever we have a good game like we had yesterday, defensively, uh, we don't talk about Levi Colville, the fact that we don't have him available. It's the bad times when we think of him. But if you can count on your fingers the number of players who can come in and put a shift for us as opposed to some of the other teams, I can't count many teams who you can count on your fingers who you can say that yeah, they are well equipped to deal with an injury to, let's say, a Saliba and a Gabriel together. If that happens, then you straight off left with Hinkapi and you're left with, let's say, the new signing who came in, right, who's putting in a good
Mascara,
shift there.
Mascara, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Masera's putting in a good shift whenever he is coming.
yeah.
But do they have a third option there? No. You have to then resort to a CDM playing as a centre back for you, as often the case happens when it's January or February of the season where minutes have to be managed, etc., etc. But all I'm saying is the number of good centre backs we have, and it's a delight to see Fofana like that. And in fact, it's nothing new to us Chelsea fans because even last year whenever he was there for us until December, he looked very, very good for us in that partnership with Levi Colvin. And that's where
That's
the
actually
season
true.
comes
That's actually true. The early part of the season, Wesley Fofana and Levi Colwill looked really strong, and then kind of
really strong.
deviated away.
We were in the title race, Miz. And why were we in the title race? We were in the title race because of our defense, not because of our attack. We had Nicholas Jackson, guys. Don't remember, uh, right, leading our attack. So Cole Palmer was there, probably putting in the goals. I think he had a good 3 or 4 goal game early in the season itself, but it was starting to then dry up for him. The defense was the one doing the job. Moises Caicedo, as usual. Some of the regular folks have always put in a shift, and I think Moses has to be spoken about. We'll of course get there as the conversation goes, uh, but yeah, Moses Caicedo is one of the reasons. Even in the darkest times, as a Chelsea fan, if there's just one player, no, who you'll go and say like, yeah, against Barcelona, okay, we might have a chance here. Even if we've messed up a Premier League game, we've let in goals, we're on the back of a defeat, but there's just one or two players who you can really say Moses will put in a shift. If there is a hope of getting a result from this game, it has to be him. And yesterday he gave us that. It was very important. It was a narrow 1-0 win, guys. Let's not forget we did not have the luxury of having 2 or 3 goals up that we could have, faltered at the back, especially in the last 5 or 10 minutes where Spurs still wanted to give it a shot. But yeah,
Hmm.
that's what it is, right?
Nah, look, do you know what? Even though it was a narrow victory, but for me, I think we bamboozled Tottenham. Like we could have scored 4, 5, 6 goals. We really should have scored all of that, and we're going to get to that. But just quickly to wrap up the defense before we talk about Moises Caicedo, I think fantastic conversation to have. Ishan, moving forward, I really do want to see Fofana play as often as he can, as long as he can stay fit. I think Fofana, it's a very good point that Arya has made that when we defend well, and this is why, Ishan, I've said in the start of this season, I believe in this squad. I believe that there is a lot of good in this squad. It's now up to Enzo Maresca to make sure that he can utilize this squad and get the most out of this team. And obviously injuries does impact. Wesley Fofana has been injured and he's had the concussion and this, that, the other. But hopefully if he stays fit, I really want him to start as often as possible. And I'm a little bit surprised that Achapong didn't get a go. I know Chalobah defended well as well, but I'm not always convinced with Chalobah in recent times because he's shown me he's also capable of, producing those odd mistakes here and there. Not saying that Wesley Fofana doesn't. Even Wesley Fofana has that, but hopefully the consistency continues. But would you agree that Wesley Fofana needs to, for our sake, for the fans' sake, stay fit and then be one of the main defenders for us for the rest of the season?
No, Miz, I think so. The day we bought him, from Leicester, he was our main defender. He was supposed to be our main defender. And
Yeah.
the only problem with Wesley Fofana is his fitness. Out of that, I don't think so there is anything which concerns me, because for in order in order for us to judge him, he has to be available and he has to play, or else there's no point in talking about someone like a Wesley Fofana. He hasn't been available for the team in the first place for the majority part of his Chelsea career. That's a fact.
Yeah.
That's a fact. And if he had he been available and had he been playing, he definitely would have been the anchor of the entire defense for us, and he would have been the
True.
leader of the pack, right? He
Yeah.
would have
Yeah.
been the one that we always speak
He would have
about this, man.
guided. He would have guided all the young kids. Yeah.
Yeah, he would have been the one that Achimpong could have looked up to and said, like, yeah, you know what? I wanna, be the next to Fofana. I want to be the one to learn from Fofana. But he hasn't been available. That's the only factor from Fofana. Because if he's fit, he's gonna be one of the best, and I know that because he's got that express pace, which just bamboozles the attackers. From where does this come out? And like, such pacey defenders, I think so. The speed is such an important factor that makes
It
him
is.
one of the lethal ones. Because speed is such an important fact criteria in today's modern day football. But the moment Wesley Fofana gets in touch of the game, the moment he gets a bit more, game time, the more confident he becomes, the more calmness there is in the pitch. You'll see that sense of responsibility in his shoulder, just like he shown in the match against Spurs. And then going forward, it's just that it's just about him being available for us game in game out. But that's something which is probably out of his hands. It's unfortunate, because he's always been out due to injuries, right? And that is something which is beyond his control, beyond everybody else's control. But uh, like I told you, in terms of ability, I don't think so we've got to the chance to question him much, because he hasn't been available for the team to play much. Yes, there has been hiccups here and there. Yes, he's had few poor games here and there. So does everybody, right? But it's just about him being consistently available for us in the first place, so that he becomes a constant starter, and also like a guiding light for us. And like just like Arya said, the stint that he had alongside Levi Colwell, I think so this center back pairing could have been one of the best in the leagues. But it's unfortunate that the injury scares for both the cases have really taken a toll on the team. But yeah, man, what all we can do is just sit back, enjoy this victory first, and then of course hope that Wesley Fofana stays fit, and not just him but also the other players around him just stays fit, and then be available for all these players, all these upcoming matches.
100% agreed, man. Arya, you touched on Moses Caicedo. I think next up, we really need to talk about how incredible this player is, man. Honestly, I can't put it into words anymore, because this guy is the most consistent player that I've seen for Chelsea Football Club in a very, very long time. He's on his bad day. On his bad day, he's still dropping 8.5. Like, that's his bad day. He's still dropping 8.5 out of 10. And then on his really good days, like the way he played against Spurs, he's near 10 out of 10 performances, man. The way he hustled, the way he covers so much ground, the way he's always making these brilliant tackles, intercepting, understanding of the game. He's a leader as well in the middle of the park. We've seen him, handle the armband as well. He's vocal. He guides players around him. I love his combination with Enzo Fernandez, or when Lavia comes on. I love his combinations with the defenders and the fullbacks. We've seen him score bangers this season. But that press he applied on Spurs, he pressed, I think, 3 players on his own. I think initially he pressed DJ Spence, who then mistimed a pass to Mickey van der Ven. He pressed Van der Ven. He won the ball. Then I think he pressed another player to make sure that he squares the ball. He wins that 50-50 chance first, squares the ball, and really makes an easy opportunity for João Pedro, who was struggling to get a goal. Makes an easy opportunity for João Pedro to get that goal, which was fantastic for João Pedro. But Moses Caicedo, Ariaman, for me, I've been saying in recent times, is the best midfielder in the Premier League. But I'm going to now say he's the best player in the world right now. Like, forget about positions. For me, he's got to be the best player. Like, what can't he do? There's not a thing he can't do. And the biggest thing factor is when people don't talk about his price tag anymore, that's when you know, yeah, okay. Because we paid a lot of money for Moses Caicedo and not a single soul talks about that price tag. Not Chelsea fans and not rival fans. So you know that that price has been justified and even more. I've said it in recent times. This player is worth £250 million, man. Honestly, he's worth £250 million. 250 million pounds player. This Moses Caicedo. I mean, this guy's incredible. He's honestly incredible.
What can be said, Miz? What can be said? And I think in your post-match reaction, I think your fans would know here on chat, you already called it out while reacting to the game yesterday that he is probably the best player in the world right now. I don't think I doubt that. He's probably in the top five. So you can probably count goal scorers right now in the top five. Who would that be? Mbappe would make the cut. Couple others who might be performing well. Haaland would make the cut. There's a call for Semenyo to be one of the best in the Premier League right now for what he's done attackingly. But when you talk about pure midfield, there is no other complete midfielder in the Premier League right now, in my opinion. Uh, Decnal is a close call, uh, but that's just 1v1 and being very, very critical that if you to just pick one player out of the two or out of the three, that's when the conversation comes to. But for us, you mentioned Miss he puts in a 8.5 performance, which is an average for him, which is a 6.5 performance for the others in a Chelsea team which has an average rating of a 6.5, 7 to put in an 8.5 is very difficult. And in a defensive midfield position, which is literally the anchor, which is the engine of the team, because without him we won't be able to operate either defensively, either
Yep.
build our attacks, either play those balls in for our forwards to act on. Nothing happens. Right?
He's a total package. He's a total package for the team. He's a total package.
He is. And he's always looked up to the Chelsea greats. When he signed, you remember that emotional video that came out where he says that there are Chelsea legends who I aspire to be like, to hold that sort of stature. He wants to have a statue of him outside Stamford Bridge. Perhaps that's the dream, right?
Yeah.
And in the past two seasons, we've seen that can happen. That he can surely be in the conversation of one of the greatest ever midfielders to play in the Premier League. And let's do something fun. So here's where we can also involve the chat. We probably have you both also. Let's try and build like a tier list of the best Chelsea defensive midfielders of all time. Let's consider five. Let's consider Michael Essien. You can give me names. John Obi Mikel, Makelele, Kante.
Essien, Makelele, Kante, Mikel, yeah.
Mikel, and Caicedo himself. Five is good.
Caicedo, yeah.
So
Ishan, could you think of any other defensive midfielders? So Essien.
Would you like to put Matic in there? Nemanja Matic.
Legend status?
Would you say
Nah,
Nemanja Matic
no.
was a sitting defensive midfielder though? Like he would bonk forward as well.
Yeah.
What do you guys think on chat also? Let us know on Matic as well.
Let us know in the chat. But I like the five. I think really, look, it was always N'Golo Kante. He overshadowed everyone else, right? No disrespect to Essien, Makelele, all the names that you've just said, right? John Obi Mikel and so on and so forth. No disrespect to any one of them, but Kante always.
Bro, where's Jorginho, man? Where's Jorginho? Justice for Jorginho, man. Ballon d'Or number 3.
Jorginho is a little bit after, and once again, no disrespect to him. He's a fantastic player, but these names
out of those 5, who won Ballon d'Or number 3? None.
look, I mean, sure, but ultimately, Ballon d'Or is judged on one season. Do you know what I mean? We are looking at these players over many, many seasons, right? But coming back to the point, for me, Kante was overshadowing everyone else. But I have to say now, and this is a crazy thought, and obviously Kante has given so many special seasons, and Caicedo is just sort of early stages of his career. He's so young. But I feel he's more complete than Kante. I honestly feel he's got the engine of Kante. He's got the defensive abilities like Kante. But he scores. No, and I'm not saying that Kante didn't score, but this guy, it's not a fluke that he scores. He has an eye for goal.
He
And
is
he's got an eye.
convinced he will get that ball into the back of the net. That's the point.
Yes.
And
And he can assist. And the way he presses forward, and for me, he feels more complete. And it's a crazy, crazy thing to say because Kante was so damn good. But I feel Caicedo, because there's a debate that's happening on social media, Kante or Caicedo. I think Caicedo is probably edging him as a total package. That's my thought. I'll leave it to you guys. What do you guys think? And the live chat as well. Let us know.
no, I
Ishan,
think,
what do you think?
yeah. Go on.
No, go on, Arya.
So people will call us crazy, but I side with your thought. I think he is a more complete midfielder than Kante because he brings in more as a package. Kante was there whenever we needed him. Kante was there defensively whenever we needed him. But when it comes to building out attacks, when it comes to coming up with the craziest of goals when there is no hope, with that sort of individual technical brilliance, uh, it is just astounding because it feels that you have a central attacking midfielder, a central midfielder, and a central defensive midfielder all in one. And that is very, very rare to find in a player. How many can you count? I can probably count Jude Bellingham as one of them who can probably do justice to three aspects of the game, perhaps not as much defensively. But look at that's where Caicedo's strength lies, right?
Yeah.
So it's very difficult, but yes, I think from what we've already seen in 2 years, I think for me in terms of sheer potential till the time Caicedo plays for us, and I think he will retire a Chelsea legend in my book. I don't think he will leave us for any other club. I don't see that happening, and that should not happen. Uh, but yeah, I think if that happens, he will finish as a better player in Chelsea's fans' books by the time he ends his career. So for me, it'll be Caicedo, Kante, Sen, Makalele. Makalele and Sen is very debatable because Makalele transformed and made this a role for world football. He brought recognition to this role. Close call there, but Mikel, no hard feelings. But when you're up there against the top four midfielders we've ever seen wear a Chelsea shirt, you feel hard done by. But yeah, great player.
I mean, Ishan, one thing, obviously, Kante, and it's a very, very big thing, and I've seen live chat talk about it. Kante's won Premier Leagues with us. Do you know what I mean? Like,
That's the point I was going to say. Yeah.
Yeah, he's not just with Chelsea. He's won a Premier League with Leicester as well. This guy's multiple Premier League winner with different clubs. And he's won the Champions League. He's won Kante. I'm pretty sure Kante's won it all with Chelsea Football Club.
Won it all. With international, with his French team as well.
Exactly. Yeah. So, look, winning it all, obviously, Kante has been a major part, but you also need the team, the entire, the manager. Everyone needs to collect together. But in terms of just purely talking about skill set, I edge Caicedo over Kante. But obviously, in terms of status for Chelsea Football Club, Kante is unbeatable at the moment. Like, he's an absolute legend with all the stuff that he's won and how heavily he's been involved. Is that how you kind of see it as well? Or do you think, no, Kante in terms of skill set as well is still superior to Caicedo?
No, but I think so. about to say the exact same thing, and for me, it's not just about um, Kante versus Caicedo. I put in Makelele also there because I've seen Makelele play and I've seen him
Yeah.
for a good season or a half, right? And um, I'll tell you that all these players that we've named are definitely the defensive midfielders, but their playing style is different. Makelele was more of an anchor man, right? He was more of a regista slash a holding defensive midfielder,
Yeah.
right? But Angolo Kante is more of a box to box slash
Mhm.
orchestrator, you'd like to say. And this guy, Moise Caicedo, is a mixture of everything. He's a freaking machine, man. He can do anything
Yeah.
and everything, right? And that's the thing. Now, Makelele, I don't think so. I've seen anybody better than Makelele as an anchorman or as a like a holding midfielder in Chelsea, right? At least bare minimum. I think so in the world as well, but definitely in Chelsea. When it comes to as an anchorman role, Makelele is the best, the best.
Mhm.
When it comes to box role, I don't think so anybody beats Kante. But
Mhm.
and just not just in terms of ability, but also the longevity of his career and whatever he's
Yeah.
achieved. I think so. That's immense, right? And then comes someone called Moise Caicedo. I think so. He takes in every play style. He takes in
Yeah.
every abilities, and until now, he's doing it really good. Now, what bars him or probably separates him away from Kante is number one. Longevity or the consistency throughout 3 4 5 6 7 years for us to really categorize him in the legends case. I hope he does. I wish he does. I pray he does, right? Second thing is the trophies and the laurels that Kante has won. World Cup,
100%.
bro. World Cup, and that Kante World Cup was an animal. Oh, bro,
Bro.
that if you go back and watch the France
Bro, he had a
winning the
song.
World
He
Cup,
had a
and if
song. He had a song for himself.
oh,
Like, do you know what I mean?
mate,
The
and I
French fans
remember
had a song for him.
I miss, and then after that World Cup, and every player who's ever had an interview always speaks about Kante and them saying if it wasn't for Kante, they wouldn't have won the World Cup then, as he was that great. Not just for France and the World Cup. Even we would not have won the Champions League 2021 edition if it wasn't for Kante. How many man of the match performances that he has had continuously, semi-finals, quarterfinals, final. I think so. Even in the final, he was a man of the match. You
Yeah.
gotta beat that,
I think
Caicedo. If you wanna,
direct, yeah, four direct man of
yeah,
the match leading up to the final.
and you're talking about playing against the best. It was Man City. It was two games of Real Madrid, and I don't know who else we played. He got the man
I
of the
think
match.
Porto, Real Madrid, Man City, Atletico Madrid, I think.
Yeah, I think so, right? But
Or
the
was it
thing is,
Benfica? Yeah.
Caicedo, if you gotta beat someone like Encante, you gotta
Mhm.
put up performance against big teams at big occasions consistently to come up, above Kante. Because Kante, I can't see Caicedo above him at the moment. It'll really be disrespectful to what Kante has done. And do
Of
not
course,
forget,
of
I've not
course.
spoken
Yeah.
about this. The Premier Leagues, not just with Chelsea, but also against Leicester. And it's not that, of course, it's a team performance, but also if you just focus and microscope Kante's performance out of those, those years, you'll just know how great Kante was. But nothing to get away from Caicedo. Like I told you, ability wise, he is the best at the moment out of all the
Okay,
names
so
we've
so
taken.
so that's my point. I think the live chat
Yeah.
is kind of getting me wrong. Kante, I've mentioned in terms of what he has achieved with Chelsea, legendary status, and no one can take away that from him. And he will obviously be the best defensive midfielder for us. I'm more talking about what Ishan and also Arya said. I'm talking about the ability, the skill set. Ishan literally just said Kante is more of a box to box. He used to love pressing from the front, win the ball from the front, and get us into the front foot. And then if we were off the ball, Kante was so good at making sure no one went past him, interceptions and whatnot. Kante in a counter-attacking team was supreme, absolutely supreme. even under Maurizio Sarri, when we started to play with the ball a lot more, Kante struggled a little bit in the initial stages, but then turned out to be excellent later down the track. But Moises Caicedo, that's where I'm trying to get to. There's not a single thing that Kante can do that Moises Caicedo can't do in terms of ability.
Yes.
And I feel
That's
like
right.
Caicedo can play in so many different positions. And he can play
And still come out as the best player on the pitch.
This is the thing.
Yeah.
I honestly think he can play as a number 10. Like, he's got the creative mindset to play up and feed those passes. I think he can play as a number 8. I think he can definitely play as a number 6. He can even play right back. Kante can play even right back, and we've seen that for both Brighton and for Chelsea football.
I remember a couple of the matches he played right back and became the man of the match in that matches as well.
He became
So
man of the match.
that guy is crazy.
So
And he will do that in the World Cup as well. He will play all the roles possible that is to be played for a player for his national team, because that's the state of their national team. They will need inspiration like Moises Caicedo to win them games, to win them matchups against the biggest of opposition. And Miss, just to kind of course you can come back again, but the point that we are all trying to make here, chat, is in terms of when Moises Caicedo retires as a Chelsea legend, where do we look up? Where does he stand? We're in no way taking away anything that Kante has done for us. I mean,
Of
he's
course,
one of
of
the
course.
reasons we are a Chelsea fan, and we are never questioning what he brought to Chelsea Football Club. And not just Chelsea, people who are non-Chelsea fans started loving Chelsea and liking Chelsea because Kante was a figure and a personality in our team. Because you remember, before the Kante era, we had the likes of JT and Lampard and all of these ferocious Englishmen who were, it's either you're on our side or you're not. But Kante made that happen. He made it happen on the pitch. You do not need to respect anyone, but you've just got to put sheer merit on the football pitch. He taught us a lot more than just football. He taught us about life. We're not taking away anything, but we're just talking about
Yeah,
what is the potential of a Moises Caicedo. Can he then become one of the greats in the Premier League in terms of all-round play, in terms of contributing everywhere on the pitch, right?
100%. Look, for me, I see Harrison saying that Kante edges everything except shooting. I think this is where, because brother here, Mr. John Martin, saying which skill set specifically. I personally think Caicedo, I mean, both of you guys will agree, and the live chat, but are we forgetting some of the passes Caicedo played last season, those through balls and releasing Nicholas Jackson? Caicedo's passing is next level, whether it's long passing, whether it's short passing, whether it's build up. Like, for me, and once again, taking nothing away from Kante, because Kante was very good on the ball as well. But this is one place where I feel like Caicedo's tad bit superior than Kante. And shooting. Once again, Kante scored as well, but Kante's shooting wasn't always, clean. You know what I mean? Like,
No, it's more about the technique that Caicedo has. His shooting technique is stupendous.
Stupendous technique, right? I mean, it's not a fluke that Caicedo keeps scoring bangers from long range. It's not like a Kovacic. You guys remember when Kovacic used to take these long range shots? Those looked fluky. They looked very fluky. Caicedo, his shots are not a fluke. His shots are actually going into top corners. I mean, so many I can remember. Real Betis Conference League, lads, if you remember, Caicedo, long range shot. Recently, who was it? Was it Brentford that he did a long range shot? Or was it? Yeah, but it was Brentford, right? Recently.
Yeah,
Then there
around
was
that time, Moises. Yeah, a couple of games. In fact, he's done that for us this season. Long range bangers.
What,
So yeah,
Liverpool?
even last
Brentford,
season from the halfway line.
Brentford
Remember the body
and
line?
Liverpool. Recently, the
Yeah.
Liverpool one as well.
Yeah.
It was a long range one as well. So I think these are the two spots specifically that I feel like he edges Kante, and everything else I think it's on par. Both of them have similar type of engines. Both of them are very good in terms of tackling. Both of them are excellent in terms of covering the ground. I don't think anyone is better than the other. Both of them are very good in terms of dribbling as well. But in terms of the passing and shooting, I personally think is a little bit superior. But as I said, Kante, in terms of achievement for Chelsea Football Club, far superior, because obviously Casido hasn't had, we haven't been in those situations yet. Now, moving on to the next part of this, Chelsea aftermath. Iron Man, I want to talk about a couple of our attackers. Look, we should have scored 4 or 5 goals. We ended up scoring 1. João Pedro, look, a lot of people talking down on João Pedro, and I've always backed him. I'm full believer in him, but he did miss some gilt-edged chances, man. He could have scored a hat-trick for himself. Very, very glad he scored the goal. But Iron Man, where do you stand with João Pedro? Do you see him as a striker? Because that's the debate. A lot of people are like, I don't see him as a striker. I see him just behind a striker. I'm in the stance that I think there are times where we can utilize him as a striker. I've seen him play for Brighton as well. It's not just the Club World Cup or anything. I've seen him play for Brighton as a striker. I've seen him for Watford as a striker as well in his early days in the Premier League. And I know he can finish. It was just odd that he didn't finish the ones that he really should have finished against Spurs. But then again, I don't mind him playing as a number 10, just behind a Delap maybe up front. So where do you see João Pedro? There's few people are starting to talk a little bit down on him, that not good enough, this, that, the other. But I think he's a very, very good player.
I think he's a very, very good player wherever he plays. When it comes to the role, now that's a question mark still, because he can play as a 9, he can play a 9.5, which he showed us yesterday. I think he played more like a 9.5 yesterday, because you could see him drop very, very deep at times, even deeper than a regular number 10. I remember him winning a free kick around where Cucurella likes to operate, while we're trying to build out from the back. It was in the first half, and that was very, very deep in our defensive line. And then you could see him being available for all the crosses that we had put into the box, for any chances that we were trying to create, for any sort of ball that we wanted to put in the forwards' feet, so that he could then orchestrate the attack. So I think he was there where required. So he can play as a 9, he can operate as a 10, he can play as a 9.5. Now the question remains, how will we see him, and what position will we see him take up throughout the course of a season? I think that will be very evolutionary. I think given the sort of nature that Maresca has, that he likes to chop and change tactics and plans for every game, I think accordingly will we see his role kind of change and adapt and evolve over time. So I don't think we'll have a definite answer for that, because it also varies according to a lot of other situations. So when you have Delap available, and if Maresca decides that I need a proper strike, a number 9, a traditional number 9 who can then operate and really kind of attract the center backs of the opposition team toward him, he can be that target man for you. So that is a role that Delap probably plays better than João Pedro, maybe a Piu tries to play better than João Pedro, being the focal point of an attack. But when you talk about all-round play, you can see it's been evidenced in the past. Even the goal that he scored in the Club World Cup for us in the final against PSG, that beautiful dink over Donnarumma. So I think we've seen his finishing has been there. It's just a question of him taking up the right attacking positions, whatever position he plays. And I think the fact that once Cole Palmer arrives, then is a time where we again scratch our heads and think and kind of imagine how will the Chelsea lineup look like? Would it be Palmer in the 10, and would it be João Pedro as the 9? What if we see him being deployed as a left winger in certain games, at least towards the fag end of a game? That is a possibility. That is a role that he can also play. as a left winger when we don't have an option in that position. So I think a lot of areas where he can be deployed, but I think for now I am a bit confused as a Chelsea fan where what is that specific position that he will take up. Although I think what he brings to the team, that's fairly clear to us. We need his contributions to come in. Six goal involvements in the Premier League so far. That's 3 goals and 3 assists. But need the goal count to now rise. But that will only happen when he picks up the right positions. And then he's also convinced about the role that he is to play in that particular game. Even if that evolves, even if let's say 1 week he's playing as a 9 and the other he's playing as a 10, he has to know what are the positions that I'm to take, who's going to be the guy who will be delivering which sort of a ball. Would it be an aerial ball? Would it be a flat out cross that he can attack? So I think he's good with ball to his feet. I don't think he's the best when it comes to the aerial side of the game. So I think the service has to be there accordingly for him to flourish.
Ishan, a lot of people talking about João Pedro, that can he score minimum 15 goals in the Premier League? I think that's what it all comes down to. If we say that he's a striker, he can play as a striker, he needs to deliver goals, right? Where do you sit with João Pedro? Do you believe he has the capacity to score 15, 20 goals for Chelsea Football Club, season in, season out, to be that bona fide striker for us?
No, man. Look, I think so. That's the only point I would say. I was really unhappy with yesterday's match against Spurs. That the manner of the way we missed chances, those open goals, really got in my nerves. And we've been watching this together since a long time. You know how much I disliked Warner because of the way he used to miss those open chances, and something similar is that what we've seen against Spurs. Not one, not two, not three. I think so. 4 open chances like that, 3 or 4 clear open chances
He
that
probably
we
missed
missed.
at least 3 or 4. Yeah.
Right. So and 2 clearly out of João Pedro's foot. João Pedro could have scored 4, by the way, yesterday. Total of 4. One fantastic world-class save by Vicario out of that volley after the cross from coming out from someone. I think so. It was João Pedro only hitting it, and he could have got 1 goal there if it was perfectly placed. But world-class save by Vicario. But then the other 2 open goals should have been scored, man. We expect more from him now.
Yeah.
Look, the point here is, and I was really disheartened the way we missed those chances, because it doesn't matter if he plays 9 or 10 or 11 or 12 or 9.5 or 8.5, doesn't matter. If he's gonna go out there and miss open goals like that, bro, you're not doing your job. You're not doing your job as a player, let alone a striker, let alone a midfielder, let alone a defender. Because those chances, we've brought you into this football club to score goals. You've done that very well in the Club World Cup and in the entire competition. You've done pretty well in patches, but missing like this, I don't think so will take you long enough into this game, because we've perished a lot with missing open goals like that. We've seen how the entire Nicholas Jackson saga came up, right? What difference does it make then? Us selling Nicholas Jackson to Bayern Munich and bringing you in, he does the same things. He makes the same run. He probably makes better runs than you, right? You're in ability wise, you're better technically, but if you end up there finishing open goals like that, what difference does it make from you apart from Nicholas Jackson?
Because Jackson was making the same sort of mistake, like he was missing same sort of stuff.
Yes. Was Jackson's run good? Hell yes, it was good. It was good. Does he used to position himself well? Yes. Off the ball work rate, 100% good. What new are you bringing into the table? We just wanted a striker
goals
to finish.
Yeah, we need one
goals.
Yeah.
You can't tell me that you're not comfortable playing a striker, but then chances coming up to you like this and you not finishing does not have anything linked to which position you're playing, right? So for me, clinicality is utmost. I don't care what position you're playing. When you get those chances, bro, and the chances that Vicario saved, that was a half chance barely, right? But you've actually done something out of your instinct which really went into the target. That was really good, and I appreciate that. But the goals, they were really open, man. You could have done 3 to 4 things that you could have done at that point of time. But I cannot say that's unfortunate, because it's not, because that's his decision, that's his instinct, and he chose the wrong one, right? At the end of the day, I think so. The answer to your question is, yes, he can score. We've seen him scoring. We've seen him score some screamers as well. Take us back to the FIFA Club World Cup. He can score. It's just about, I don't know if he's in the right space of mind or not. I don't know what else does he need, because apart from that,
I
he's
think
doing all good,
injuries.
man.
I think Ishan recently, Maresca said that he's not been training every single day because he's carrying some form of injury as well. Do you think that definitely plays a part too, when someone is not consistently training? That rhythm is probably not always there.
Maybe that's right. And if that's the case, then I would say it's unfortunate, because we don't have any much bench strength. Some mutton heads like Liam Delap, causing us himself a red card and being unavailable for the
Mutton
game.
head.
Probably he could have put in a shift, and maybe by somehow, some way, if we give a good chain of rest, or maybe good proper game management for Joao Pedro, he can come back to the shape that we want. But at the end of the day, just like Arya said, he's got that instinct, and he's got that skill. The way he dinked over Donnarumma, the way he's curled it outside the box in the Club World Cup, and the other goals that we have seen, headers as well, right? He can do that. He has that in him. But if you're not at the right space of mind, just get yourself sorted, man, because the team needs you. We need you. We could have been like 5-0 and probably written this game on the history books. But it's just those misses that just eating us up. And also, talking about misses, that Gittins miss was also abysmal. You were a man in form, brother. What happened? you also could have done anything there.
I could not believe that miss from Gittins. I was like, when that play happened and Gittins was, I'm like, it's this a goal. Here we go, 2-0.
Yeah.
And how he missed that, oh my God, that was quite mad for me. That really was quite mad. Richard saying, Miz, do you play Dilap for Karabash or Wolves? Now, 100% Dilap plays against Karabash. 100% he plays. And if anything,
who plays the number 9 when Cole Palmer is back? Now that's still a question that needs some answering.
100%. Look, I think when Cole Palmer's back, I do like Cole Palmer and Joao Pedro's combination. I really find that very, very interesting and exciting. But the problem now is Cole Palmer's away for a long time. That combination needs to be built again. Do you know what I mean?
But imagine that's the case here. We can probably have Elton as Joao Pedro, Arten as Palmer, and Delap up front, up top, and of course we can have Pedro Neto as probably a wing back, or the RMF that we like to say, right midfielder. Whatever he's doing there. But this is one option that we can go forward with, because I think so. I resonate with Miz. I also really like the combination between Palmer and Joao Pedro, because it looks very natural. And even if you put someone like an Estavao into the mix, I think so that combination can nurture something really good. But yeah, man, fair point. Like you said, he's down and out injured. He's gone for a long time. He'll be back, and that chemistry definitely goes away. So you need to have that back. It takes some time as well. So we'll have to see. But
yeah,
I think so. Rather playing Garnacho, starting a Garnacho, I would rather start a Joao Pedro on the left hand side, and then probably get on Gittins later on. I would rather probably start probably Gittins ahead of Garnacho.
I like what you said, Ishan. 2-10s, playing with 2-10s basically. So
yeah,
you can play with the Dilap up front and Joao Pedro and Cole Palmer, which would mean one of the midfielders would probably maybe Enzo Fernandez gets dropped, and Cole Palmer is actually a 10, but he starts from the right. He starts as a right winger basically.
right.
So, and then obviously comes into central positions, and then where Enzo Fernandez is where Joao Pedro is, and then you have the fullbacks basically giving the width along with one of the other wingers. So that's one of the options, Arya, that we can have. So Richard saying, Miz, do you play Dilap for Karabash or Wolves? I personally would play him both. If he can. I know he's just come back. So maybe play him against Karabash, and then he can come off the bench against Wolves. We shall see. Now, next thing I want to talk about is, lads, just to touch base on Spurs. I think we've spoken a lot about Chelsea Football Club here. I'll go to Ishan first, and then I'll go to Arya about this. Ishan, the Spurs team, man, I've said it from the start of this season. These guys are not good, and we saw how pathetic they looked at home. 0.05 xG. I think they had 3 shots, 1 on target, 0 big chances created, as opposed to our 6, I remember. Bro, and then I don't know if you guys saw the footage post-match. Thomas Frank was trying to say something to DJ Spence and Mickey van der Ven, and they just completely walked straight past him. They're not, for me, they're not looking good, man. They are not looking good one bit. They don't seem to have a lot of attacking, philosophy or theory and idea. They are just trying to resort to long throws and corners, and they're not even Arsenal. They're incapable of doing that at a supreme level like Arsenal. Ishan, Spurs, would you say the points that they've picked up so far, I feel like it's a little bit fortuitous, man. You've been a bit fortunate, because I don't necessarily think they're a good team. And yes, Xavi Simons, bro, he looked so poor.
Did we just dodge a bullet with this Xavi Simons, man?
I think we dodged a bullet, bro. I think we dodged a bullet. And I've been saying Fermin Lopez. Fermin Lopez is the one that I want to get. But Ishan, Spurs, and talk a little bit about Xavi Simons as well.
Man, Spurs look all over the place at the moment, man. It seems like when I saw the match, especially the first half and also the second half as well, but the first half really reflected on what they needed. Initially, they came up very strong. I thought the first 5-10 minutes, they were really fast-pacey. They were pressing really well, and I thought that's their game. They want to press high, but that's how generally we beat Spurs, right? They like to press high and we go counter, and that's how we easily beat them. That's how the plan was going to be, but it looked a bit different because they looked a bit structured comparatively to the other games, and that's quite like Spurs, quite unlike of Thomas Frank, but at the same time, they lacked something in the middle a bit. In fact, a lot, which is the creative midfielder. That number 10. Papa Matasar is just not cutting it out for them. I think so. They really need someone, or maybe a very good replacement for James Madison, or else this entire team is looking like a joke of a team. They can't create. They're really lackluster. The only way they know how to create is to take the ball and put it in the foot of Mohamed Kudus and just pray for him to do something out of nothing. And that's the only player that looked, a bit danger at some point of time, but not just for Chelsea, but in the other games as well. You would see it's like Kudus is their main man. He's the one who creates it. He's the one who's scoring some goals for them.
Up by Cucurella. He was locked up by Cucurella.
100% fair play to Cucurella, man, and that's where the point is. That's where their entire creativity dried up, because Cucurella locked up Kudus, and they have no other creative player. You would have seen miss the most of the parts on the entire game. You had someone like a Bentancur who was playing as a double six. He mostly was found out in that number 10 position. He was trying to create stuff. He was trying to do the most that he could, but the quality just isn't there. I thought Bentancur was the only player who tried a lot, to go into that whole, or the gray area of Spurs team, which is the number 10 position, try to create. On the other hand, I thought Palhinha should have been the guy who should have done that. But, look, injury is taking a toll on that squad too. Thomas Frank is, I think so, he's lost his mind at the moment. I don't think so. He knows what he's doing at the moment, because against Chelsea, this is not the way you come up. This is not the way you come up. I expected better from Thomas Frank, because I kind of respect him as a manager, because whatever he's done with Brentford,
he did a madness with Brentford. He did a madness with Brentford.
And somewhere down the line, when you talk about Spurs, and I've said that to some other Spurs fan as well on some show, that uh, I really am interested now on the way how clubs, the entire club runs things now. Since Daniel Levy is gone, that was one of the good things that happened to them, according to them. Not just that, but also somewhere down the line, I think so. They know what they want sometimes. They know that they are not like a Premier League winning team or a Champions League winning team. They know that they are there or thereabouts. That's why, hence, selected someone like a Thomas Frank. Because he's not never won a major league title or a Champions League ever. So they know that he's a very good manager. Probably can keep you around the top four position or top five, six where they want, and probably go on and get a stint at a cup final. And that's what the expectation is. That's how they chose Thomas Frank, and it totally made sense. Did they get a very good transfer season? I think so. They had a very good transfer season. Now it's all about them gelling together, and Thomas Frank coming into the table and putting everything together. But just like you said, Maze, at the end of that game, it seemed like the players were not very happy with how Thomas Frank is running things. Are probably the strategy against Chelsea hasn't worked out, and you know how Spurs players are. If you lose against Chelsea, they're not gonna be happy at all. And if it seems like Thomas Frank is under the spotlight at the moment in terms of Spurs play as well, because it gives me that feeling where the players know that your strategy has been absolutely crap, and we've fallen into that, and we've lost against Chelsea, which we never want to. I think so. This is the message that is getting me. The question is this like an ignition to a fire where Thomas Frank would lose the dressing room? That's a question mark to be answered. Maybe in the later games we'll get to know. But it seems like now the defense, Van de Ven, who's probably the best defender in this season, has been the worst in the game against Chelsea, right? And that's a
Yeah.
concern for them. I don't know how Thomas Frank comes up and really gets things going, from now on, because it seems like everything is all over the place. But yeah, man, it's been a tough game for Spurs. I hope they continue the same and lose all the games upcoming, and probably get relegated.
No best wishes at all. Never any best
No best
wishes.
wishes at all, man. Yeah.
Arya, I mean, their home crowd was booing at the end of the final whistle. 0.05 xg at home. Like, that 0.05 is literally nothing. You can literally say zero, pretty much. There are certain types of match, I feel like, Arya, if you cross the line with the fans, I don't know how much of an opportunity you have to come back. Like, that type of a match is so brutal, so detrimental to Thomas Frank. And personally, I've seen a couple of Spurs matches here and there this season. I've not been impressed the way they play. But that against us, that was so pathetic from them. I mean, where do you see things going for Thomas Frank? Because yeah, that Spurs performance was, oh wow, they were bamboozled by us.
I'm surprised how they are where they are in the table right now. I can only wonder where those points might have come, because when you look at the table now after 10 games and you see them there and thereabouts in the top four, you just wonder how did that happen, because at least yesterday's game was not giving us that sort of an evidence. The fans clearly did not like what they saw. I think even in at halftime we could hear a couple of boos ringing, and I think it was probably no surprise that that would be the case when the full time whistle would be blown. And yeah, I think they lack a lot of personality from their players. I think there hasn't been times where Kudus has been set up and been created and been given an opportunity to do something. He's always been found in wide areas. You've missed James Madison very badly. You've missed your number nine, who earlier used to be Dom Solanke. I think they're struggling to still find an alternative for him. At times, Matthias Tell has come in, done a bit of a job, but I think in front of goal, he's just not as good with his conversion, Matthias Tell. But yeah, I think overall, Xavi Simons, the sort of transfer activity they've had, bang on point, just like Ishan mentioned, great transfer window. You cannot complain about that. But players haven't fired. Yesterday, even Palinia seemed to go missing. Bentancur, he seemed to lose his head. I thought he would get sent off a couple of times. And I think there was a case to be made which player would have been sent off yesterday. I think there was a case for a Spurs player to be sent off yesterday and not a Chelsea player, which was a
Bentancur should have been. Bentancur
Bro,
should have
that
been.
was a red. That was a red,
That
man.
was a
That
red
was
card.
as red as an
How
apple.
he's so. He definitely didn't deserve to carry on. That was a red card, Bentancur.
I
Yeah.
think, and the fact that yesterday Van de Ven was the man who lost possession, which is highly unlike him. And if that happens, then the others, where are they so going to derive their sort of inspiration or their energy from? If one of their leaders uh, does that, it was quite casual to say the least. It was a great tackle by Moses Caicedo. Had it been any other player on the pitch, not just a Chelsea player, maybe in the league, would not probably have won that tackle fair and square for him to then pounce and latch onto that ball to then set up João Pedro. That was all round great play, which separates him from the rest. But the fact that Mickey Van de Ven did not take notice of the fact that Moises Caicedo would come in and jump in on him, I think that probably just tells you what Spurs have been so far this season.
No, 100%. Some interesting comment from Gino, and I want to address a few before we wrap things up. Gino initially said, by the way, they are above us. They honestly, the games that I've watched, I don't know how, as Arya Men has said, and Ishan as well, I don't know how they've collected these points. I really don't know. Like against Everton, I think it was all set pieces as well, like away from home. I've not seen, and I'm not going to sit here and say I've watched all of Spurs games, but the ones that I've watched, they have not looked good. But at least in Chelsea's case, I can say that, that 45 minutes looked really good, or that 90 minutes looked really good. And for me, when you look at games like Brentford, we should not have lost that in the final minutes, in the final seconds. We should have picked up the 3 points there. That was 3 points in the bag. So we should be ahead of Spurs easily. Against Brighton, the game was under control. We were 1-0. Game was beautifully under control up until Andre Santos made that mistake. And then Chalobah got himself that red card.
The same for Sunderland as well.
The same for Sunderland as well.
Yeah.
These long throw-ins, we were under full control, and then we gave away a nonsense goal, the first one. And then look, the Sunderland one, I'll have to say, once it was 1-1, lads, I don't think we showed enough to really go and get the second goal and go ahead. I felt like that is one game I was very upset about, that we did not try hard enough. So, if we managed to get a draw, that would have still been a shit result, but at least we managed to get. But the fact that we ended up losing as well really hurt. But that's one game I can honestly say we deserve nothing from that game. We deserve 0 from that game. But yeah, Brentford won, we should have won. Brighton won, we threw that game away. And the Man United won. That was a Man United team that was up for grabs, and Enzo Maresca did what he did. Do you know what I mean? Like, made all of those crazy substitutions. So for me, I'm not really sure how Spurs got those points, but certainly we should have been above them, which is more our bad as opposed to them being good. We are so great, and they have been so poor, but Spurs are above us. Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. That's how I look at it.
We've lost 8 points from winning positions, I think, this season.
There you go.
In the league.
And
so if you add those, we're around 25, right? 17 plus 8, 25. And
which equals Arsenal?
Tabletop.
Yeah.
There you go. Like, Ishan, honestly, Brentford, we should have won, right, Ishan? We should have won that.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
So that takes us to 20 points already.
Yeah.
And Sunderland,
Brentford, we
let's
should
be
have
honest,
won. Sunderland, we absolutely
we
fluked it.
should be
So that makes us,
winning at home against
yeah,
Sunderland. We should be
yeah.
winning. And
So that takes
we
us
were on a
23.
and we were on a 4-match winning streak moving into the Sunderland game.
Yeah. Yes, we were.
So there's no reason to lose at home to
Probably
Sunderland.
you can say that if it wasn't for all these red cards, we would have been table toppers by now. I don't know. Maybe.
Close to Arsenal. We would have been close to Arsenal. And this is why I'm saying,
Yeah.
This squad is not as bad as people make it out to be. And the last one I want to just quickly take from Gino. Guys, we have to be fair. If Bentancur is a red, Enzo Fernandez wasn't red. Look, I'm not trying to play the Chelsea card. Bentancur was studs up on the base of the ankle. Enzo Fernandez, yes, was studs up, but he barely got any connection. It was a bare connection. He did not plant his feet on the Spurs player. He barely brushed it. I know there's a picture, and this is where people they need to watch the game. When you take a still picture, it looks like Enzo Fernandez has planted his foot on that Spurs player. But if you actually watch the whole situation live, he barely gets any connection. And this is why VAR didn't give a red card. Or else, I'm pretty sure VAR would have not have hesitated one bit to give us a red card. So,
whereas the tackle by Bentancur on Reece James could have potentially caused an injury, a very bad injury. And at first glance, it looked very, very dangerous, right? So I think
100%.
there was a solid case for that. And in fact, I felt throughout the game, the ref wasn't on our side, man. I mean, there were so many clauses that he was able to afford to Tottenham so easily, but there was a case to be made even in that corner where Bentancur and Fofana, they got involved, and I think there was a lot of pushing and shoving. But many times throughout the course of the game, I think in open play scenarios, there were so many tight calls for fouls that we never got the support of the referee, and I think despite having the referee on their side, Spurs have been poor. But yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right. There was probably quite a few where should have gone our way. Last but not least, I want to take one last comment from here. And I don't know how many times I've said this to Gino, and I'm pretty sure Ishan and both Arya will agree with me on this. Gino is saying, guys, not rage baiting. Me and Miz see this team differently, which is true. He thinks our squad is great. Ishan, have I ever said our squad is great? Or Arya, have I ever said our squad is great? What I have said is our squad is good. It needs to be competing at, on the upper level, competing for the Premier League. I never said it's great. I've always said that it's got flaws, but it's good enough to be closer to Arsenal. I never said it's good enough to win. I said closer. And if you look at all the points that we've let go of unnecessarily, we should be closer. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
yes, Man City,
Absolutely.
I think it's below Man City. Now, if you want to talk about the squad holistically, yeah, Man City and Liverpool have got a better squad. But they've been struggling. Liverpool's struggling even with a better squad. They're struggling. Finally, they got a victory against Aston Villa, but it's stupid Aston Villa though. Aston Villa didn't deploy what Brentford was deploying. Aston Villa wanted to play Unai Emery on the pitch football. If Aston Villa did what Brentford did literally a week ago, Aston Villa would have got a victory. Long ball, direct football, Liverpool would have crumbled. Man City as well. Pep Guardiola. I'm not going to be surprised. Look, I think Man City will probably beat Bournemouth today. But I'm not going to be surprised if they actually struggle, Because these Premier League teams, they've realized I can't play tiki-taka football with these guys. And I'm not going to play park the bus, sit deep, and just hope for the best. Please, Almighty, look after me. These Premier League teams have now deployed a strategy which is anti-Pep Guardiola, tiki-taka football, which is, I'm not going to build up from the back. I'm going to go direct, and I'm going to try to win the ball in your half, in your box, and then win the second balls and try and see if I can squeeze a goal out of it. And then I'm going to make sure every set piece, every corners, every long throw-ins are creating a lot of chaos in your box. Because these teams realize Pep Guardiola teams, or people that want to play like Pep Guardiola, they don't want to clear the ball. They want to play out from the back, which then will get them in a mess. So, yes, their squads are better, but they're not performing like they should be. Do you know what I mean? So, this is why I'm saying that we should be able to take advantage. We should be able to take advantage. But let's see what happens. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the lot for today. Before we go, Ishan, any final thoughts, bro?
Nah, man, I think so. That was a very good win. In the earlier previous episode of Aftermath, I wanted a clean sheet. We got a clean sheet. That's all I'm happy for. Not happy of missing the chances. I hope we don't continue that, man. I don't want a Timo Werner saga all over again with a different name. You know what I mean? So we keep moving. We move on to the next one. I hope we come back into the next Aftermath episode with a victory again, so that we can all speak on the good things about the team and also how to improve better. Maybe the other teams are not doing it at the moment, but maybe somehow, some way we can challenge Arsenal. Let's look up for that for now.
Yeah, consistency. That's what it comes down to. Making sure that we build good consistency now, and not just lose games unnecessarily and in a silly manner. We have a team that can be competitive. Aryaman, any final thoughts, my man?
Yeah, as a Chelsea fan, I think we take all the temporary and the little joys that our football club gives us, including this North London derby that we won. And I think, consistency will be the key for us this season. I think if we are to really be serious about mounting a title challenge, which is not gone yet, we're just 8 points adrift, and I think a good set of 10 games, 15 games, can really change the tide in our favor. At least be there and thereabouts around Arsenal and the teams that we look to.
I think Liverpool was 4 or 5 points ahead of Arsenal, weren't they? Liverpool.
Yeah, and then things changed, and now they are 1 point ahead of us.
How quickly has Arsenal changed that? Like, there were 4 or 5 points behind Liverpool, and now how many points are there ahead of Liverpool? 8, 9, 10 points?
Yeah, 6, 7 points. 6, 7 points. I think they're 18. We're 17, and I think Arsenal must be 25.
Okay. So they're about 5, 6, 7, 8 points, let's say, something like that. 7 or 8 points, something like that. So things can change, but obviously this Arsenal team looks very formidable. But you never know. What we need to do is make sure we're consistently picking up 3 points, and then we'll see what happens for the rest of the league. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, smash up the like button. If you're here for the first time, subscribe. Make sure you subscribe to Ishan. You subscribe to Aryaman as well. Their links are in the description. Give them all the love. Give them all the support. And we'll be back for the next Chelsea Aftermath after the Carabao game for the Champions League. And, I don't want any hiccups in the Champions League. We need to keep continuing picking up the points before the Barcelona game, which will be after the Carabao game. And then obviously we've got the Wolves game coming up in the Premier League. But yeah, until then, everyone, take care. See ya. Goodbye.